Take one.
There's a right way, a wrong way, and the way it's done here. And the way it's done here is the only way it's going to get done. So they, even if they have all the technical knowledge that they brought out from the school, I still want it done the way we do it. And a lot of students were not willing to do that. We're not willing to take the humility in hand necessary to perform the tasks that were given to them and work their way up. My longest running employee, and the guy who ended up being the best engineer I ever had, was a guy who started out as my groundskeeper, worked his way in. After working all day, he'd ask if he could come in and just sort of sit in the background, and learned by watching and being helpful and not being pushy, and after years became my right-hand man. And that's really the kind of person that you want in the studio, somebody who is a part of your team.
It doesn't make a difference if he's gone to a school or not. We're going to train you the right way, which is our way. We know how to make records, and you know, we don't know if you've learned bad habits or learned how to properly adjust a compressor the right way. So we have a certain way of doing things that we'd prefer to teach you our way, which is the right way for our studio. But and so if I have a guy here that's never been in a school and this guy has been in a school, it's all on the interview. I think a lot of the home recording systems that they have now makes it really easy for people to kind of understand the process of recording and overdubbing and be able to hear bad takes versus good takes. And I think being able to understand that would really helps in getting better at it. The more you do it, the better you're going to get at it. It's tough because like a lot of bands are out there playing, touring, playing, and they're not really spending a lot of time in a recording studio. And if you're good enough to get to a point where all of a sudden you're in a big recording studio, it can be extremely intimidating because all this heavy machinery, all these people are running around, and it's easy to get intimidated by it. So, like I said earlier, the kind of more you do it, it's I find if you just don't even think about it. You'll have a click track or something blaring in your head that you have to play to time to, but if you try not to just relax and just try to breathe through it and not think about how important it is that you're playing in time, because nowadays it can be adjusted. The performance is the most important thing, is breathing life into this stuff. And you can adjust it a little bit this way or the next, but having the feel and the life in it is the most important thing to having a good recording, in my opinion. Is different to the next. So it depends if you're a pop artist or you're like art rock or you're jazz guys. Those kind of, it's different to all those guys. So you have to be true to yourself. If this is your song and you're writing it and you love the way it sounds, if it's not a hit song, I mean, that doesn't necessarily mean it's not a success. I mean, a good song is something that comes from the heart, and you don't want to change it because that's this song and it's coming from you, and that really constitutes a good song in my book. I'll listen till I got to change it. So if I listen, okay, well, that's a nice part, and if the second, okay, well, it's redundant, you know, it didn't build, it didn't do, you know, I'm on to the next thing. But if it's out of tune or out of time, like the first chord, if that first chord is out of tune, I'm already moved on, because I can't listen to something that's not in tune. So that's, you know, that's a biggie. Well, the grid is actually a tempo map, and it goes from, you can select how you want to view it, from quarter, eighth, and 16th notes. And so everything is lined up that way. So if you're looking at a waveform, you can see how far off that particular downbeat this particular note is. And so to line it up, it's kind of a technical thing, but it's important to really start a project with having the grid enabled, because to make sure everything is locked in, like delays and everything else that you're going to be using timing for later on down the road, if you have to remap that grid and readjust all the tempos, it can be an absolute nightmare. So it's important to start a project with a grid, but using it wisely is the key. Back in the day when we were making records the hard way, you know, the tempo was really important, that the tempo be in time, and great drummers could do that naturally and have like a natural feel to it. And so with a grid, you can lock everything perfectly to that timing. And with a lot of pop music, everything is kind of driven, you know, it's pulse driven and it's mechanical, and it kind of feeds the whole kind of power thing to have everything perfectly in the grid. And for some music, that's, you know, that's called for, but it's a fine line between just slamming that thing back to the grid, or going 50%, or leaving it alone. Well, tuning and timing is absolutely essential, and that goes for keyboards too. You know, even though it says it's, you know, they're blocked and all that, you know, I always look at a tuner just to make sure. If something sounds funny, sometimes the patch is, you know, detuned on purpose. Tune, you know, bass, you know, everything goes through auto-tune practically on every track, and all that. Vocally, it's really, I only use it if it needs to, if it sounds wrong. But a lot of times there's like a ramp up or a little trail off that's kind of unique to that voice or that thing, and you want to leave that. I mean, auto-tune will erase it, and that feel is gone. So if you want to just land on that note, making sure that they touch on that note right in key, you can just grab that little section and just make sure they at least hit that note right, and then they can go up and down a little bit. It's kind of the art of really doing it wisely. And some of the programs like Melodyne and Antares, I mean, they all kind of address that thing differently, but you know, you got to have it. I mean, back in the day, you know, everyone could sing. I mean, you just did it over and over again until it was in key, until it was right, and you know, you could punch. In the old days of comping vocals, I mean, oh God, long days. I really like it. It's but how it's done, and you know, certain little, and the more you listen to songs that are layered properly, the more you hear stuff. Like you hear the song again and again and go, wow, I didn't hear that before. And you know, and it's, good music is designed to be listened to over and over again, and you hear something new every time you hear it. So you know, a lot of people don't like it, like the purists, you know, they don't like a lot of layering. But that depends on, you know, if you're doing Muddy Waters, or you're doing you know, Close to the Edge by Yes or something like that. So I think it depends, but I like it. You know, it's capturing great moments, you know, that you get inspired by a feeling where you just go, wow, you know, I'm a better person right now for having listened to that. You know, that whenever that happens, when I'm listening to something, you know, you get that shiver up of the back of your spine. When that happens, that is like one of the greatest recordings you can ever do. So it's, you know, everyone has the techniques down. Everyone knows, you know, which mics to use and how to put your limiters and compressors on and properly. Everyone knows how to kind of do that. But to capture the magic and you just can't just do it. It just has to happen. You just have to be lucky enough to catch it when it happens.